All right, welcome to American Hammers TV, post-Everton debacle edition. So my friends Tim and Ken came over. You know Tim, obviously from the channel, and Ken I talk about all the time. They came over 7:30 in the morning, Saturday morning, to watch the Everton match with me. And the last time I got them all together was for Premier League mornings in Boston when we played Everton at home last season. Lost 2-0. It looked like crap. So we all got together again, played Everton again. We lost 2-0. It looked like crap. So the future of the three of us watching together is in real jeopardy at this point. But anyway, we're happy to have Chris with us, and Katie. Katie from Philadelphia is our fan for today. We're going to be talking to. Chris is our co-host. Also from, aren't you from Philadelphia more or less?
I'm not from Philadelphia. I'm from Central Ohio originally. I'm currently living in Erie, Pennsylvania, though.
Oh, that's right. Okay, my apologies.
Complete opposite corner from.
I knew you had a Pennsylvania tie. I just couldn't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we want to get to them in just a minute, but first I got to plug stuff, right? I got to plug stuff because we have stuff that we're selling, and it's kind of cool actually. And I got to figure out how to do this. Hang on, here it comes. All right, look at this. This is our. Oh, there it is. This is kind of amazing what we've got going here. And I seriously, you can buy all this stuff, American Hammers TV stuff. There's like everything you can imagine, not just t-shirts and clothes, but I mean, you can buy like stickers, magnets, skateboards. I mean,
interesting.
Mugs, water bottles, everything. You can put a logo on anything now and then just make it as people order it. This is the magic of the internet, really. This is the best use of the internet ever, is stuff like this. There's themes like for the different shows we have, like Real the Girls in Claret and Blue. That's Allie's show that she hosts on, I think it's Sunday afternoons. She's great. She does a great job. And so you can get her shirt there. That's not really her image, but whatever. It's her show. These are awesome West Ham United 60s retro designs. Jack wheelchair parking only. I may have to have that. I might have to have that right behind me. I don't know. I might get one of those. Anyway, this is cool stuff. You can get these on t-shirts. You can get them on you can get them in framed posters.
Oh, wow.
Put them up in your house, which makes me laugh for some reason. I don't know. Like your guests would come over for a dinner party. You'd have like the OG Hammers debate show. Framed poster in your house, up next to your Renoirs and your Picassos, of course. So anyway, that is cool stuff. So please take a look at that. Also check out Drinkware Design, our friends who do all the cool engraved gifts and mugs and that sort of thing down in Plano. So anyway, we'd like to welcome everybody. We've got some people in the chat room already. We've got Katie here. We'll get to some Hammers polls later on. We'll get to some rapid fire questions for Katie, which I promise to keep as rapid as possible. Rapid is not my strong suit, as you can tell. But anyway, Katie from Philly has been so kind to join us tonight because the Philadelphia Eagles, are playing the Dallas Cowboys in what a friend of mine called the matchup of the two most annoying fan bases in sports.
They're just annoying. Come on, let's be honest. It's not us Philly fans. If you're a fan of the Irons, you got to like being a Philadelphia Eagles fan. We're passionate and loyal.
You know what? There are a lot of similarities. There really are. I hate to say that because I've never been a Philly fan. However, until Philly won the Super Bowl, it was a very similar franchise to West Ham, to me,
Exactly.
A lot of passion.
Reasons that I follow West Ham.
Right. A lot of passion, a lot of great players, long history, but just not a lot of success.
Right.
But which is a lot like West Ham. No, I agree. It's very similar. Whereas everybody who has talked to me knows my feeling about the Cowboys. I grew up in Dallas, but I can't stand that franchise. Can't stand the owner. Anyway, we're not talking about football. We're talking about proper football. So, Katie, tell us, how did you get into West Ham and why? Why would you do that?
I know, really. I'm asking myself the same thing after this weekend. It's just heartbreak after heartbreak, honestly. So everyone knows Green Street Hooligans, a very popular movie that honestly got me hooked on West Ham. Also being a college soccer athlete, really just wanted to be with a team that really reminded me of the Philadelphia area. I was tired of people supporting Arsenal, Man City, Man U. And, I wanted to pick a team that I felt was the underdog. Exactly like you said, I felt like the Philadelphia Eagles were an underdog. The other thing is, too, having the Olympic bell at the stadium, and the fans are rowdy as all get up. When my brother and I went there to London, we had the time of our lives, let me tell you.
Well, tell me about that. Now, when did you go to London? What did you see? And was it the old ground or the new place?
It was the new place. So unfortunately, we didn't get there at the old ground.
That's been a few years.
But we did actually go out to Tottenham and visit the stadium there, because actually Steps was playing. I don't know if you know Steps. They're another.
I know Steps.
Yeah. So my brother wanted to go see Steps, and I wanted to go see West Ham. So we actually did get to see both of the stadiums. And it was a phenomenal time in London Stadium. We actually, when we first got in, we were so excited. We bought 2 huge cups of beer. And as we're going into to the game, we realized we couldn't bring them in. So we had to chug them within like 2 seconds or 2 minutes. Oh my gosh, we were so drunk in the first half. It was great.
Well, you need to be. You have to be, really. So which game did you see?
We saw Leicester City.
Was that that wasn't the 1-1 draw then, because that was at Leicester?
No, they lost 2-0.
Okay, that sounds about right. Yeah.
We were disappointed. They played really well, but honestly, the game didn't show for the way they played. The score just didn't show it.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. That's frustrating. One of the frustrating things about football is that can happen.
It is.
I want to say hi to Wally in the chat room. Wally, Katie is your neighbor. Wally lives.
Yeah, I love Wally.
You know him?
Yeah, he came out to a couple of the games at Stowe's.
There you go. Yeah,
Wally is my neighbor.
Did you meet Tim at Stowe's when he went down there too?
I didn't. Unfortunately, I had a wedding that weekend, so I didn't get to meet him, and I was so disappointed.
Yeah, I have been coaching my younger son's team, a soccer team, on Saturday mornings, so I haven't been able to go anywhere either. But Tim has gotten to Philly. He's gotten to New York. Got down, I think, to DC at one point. But he had a great time in Philly. He had a great time with Wally down there. So maybe next time. Maybe next time I'll come. Maybe next time I'll come and bring the boys, and we'll all go, and we'll have a good time in Philly. That'd be a lot of fun.
And we have hammer shots every time we score.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Fantastic. Although it was a very sober Saturday.
Exactly. Hey, go hard or go home here in Philly.
So Green Street, but you also said that you played soccer in college. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And who'd you play for?
I played for a school in Maryland, small school, D3.
What's the name of it? Just out of curiosity.
Washington College.
Washington College. Okay, I was just curious.
Makes sense.
I know some people who went to school down in Maryland, so.
Okay.
But yeah. I don't know that place in particular. I have to say.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. It's actually the only college founded by the George Washington, so that's our claim to fame. But got recruited to play down there, and that's how I ended up in the middle of nowhere.
Interesting. And so you grew up in the Philadelphia area.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you're like a true lifer, true native.
I am. I did actually live in Baltimore for about 10 years. So I know Mark has some ties down there to the Baltimore Irons. So I'm trying to get down there to hang out with them at some point soon.
You lived in Baltimore for 10 years?
Yeah, after school. Mm-hmm.
How are you old enough to have lived someplace else for 10 years?
I know. Everyone says I look 20, but
I thought you were like 22.
No, 34.
The math doesn't work. Anyway, yeah. Oh wait, hang on. Oh, there we go. There's Gabe. Now Gabe, it's from Austin, so he's a Texan and he's a Cowboys fan, and he's watching us tonight instead of watching the Cowboys. So good job, Dave. Good job.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Glad to have you here. Katie's got the game on her on her other device, I think so.
I do.
So you got into West Ham from Green Street. You got into West Ham from like the Philly connection. When did all this happen? When did you really start watching? How long ago?
I would say about 5 years ago. I really started, becoming hardcore into it, especially with it being more public here with being on TV and SNBC.
Yeah, I mean that's made such a huge difference. I think NBC. I don't love NBC Sports Gold, but just the fact that the matches are on NBC, that they're accessible at a proper time of day, because Fox Sports used to have like a match at 10 o'clock Saturday morning, but then everything else would be replayed some other time during the day.
Yeah.
He's done a great job, I think, of at least giving us the opportunity to see things, live. And I really think, I mean, I don't know what your feeling is. I feel as though the Premier League is just becoming huge. I mean, today I went up to Gloucester, Mass, and I saw a friend who just moved back from England. He's married to one of my wife's friends. So anyway, American guy from Minnesota, lived in England for 30 years, and he's just moved back in the last like 6 months. And I'm trying to explain the last 30 years in America to him. So, I mean, the last 6 months enough for bad enough. But anyway, the last 30 years is a lot to talk about. But I told him, I said, the Premier League is huge here. It's enormous. Like when he left, nobody knew what it was. But now it's, he's like, yeah, he talks to all these people. They're watching it. They've clubs they've picked and so forth. I mean, I don't know what you do or the people you hang out with, but do you hang out with a lot of other fans just casually?
Yeah, it's tough kind of where I live because I'm shortly outside the city, but there are a lot of people in the city, a lot of bars that actually show the games. We have about 5 or 6 here that show the games. So it's pretty awesome.
So do you usually end up at Stowe's or what's your usual plan?
Yeah, only because it's our Hammers bar. Stowe's is pretty much the spot. If we can't get in there, there's Star and Plows, Fido, that's the most popular one. They're open for all of the games, and then Misconduct across the street. So those are the top 4, I would say. If you're coming to Philly, those are the ones that you want to hit up.
I love the name Misconduct. That's a great name. I would like to go to that bar. After the Bruins games in Boston, I used to go to a bar called the Penalty Box across from the Garden. It's not there anymore. I really miss it because I love the Penalty Box. But Misconduct is another great sort of hockey-related name. So Wally wants to know, do you know what's in the Hammer shots?
I do. It's vodka and I think grenadine. I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not much. It's pretty simple. They don't go down so smooth though.
I'm down with that. That doesn't sound bad at all to me, actually.
No, not at all.
No, it's not terrible.
Would you pop a few of those if we actually managed to score some goals?
Oh, absolutely.
Chris, what do you have for Katie? You're sharing a state with her at the moment. What's going on? What are you thinking about?
What do you mean?
I mean, you got any questions? Anything you want to talk about?
Not really at the moment. I've been trying to think all day and I haven't really been able to think of too many questions. I'm still getting used to actually interviewing people like this.
Listen.
The one thing I want to talk about is our defense.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know what? Let's just do it, right? Because I usually try to wait until Wednesday nights to rant about West Ham because that's when Tim and Wayne and I have we call it a debate show. We almost never debate because we usually agree on everything. It's not really much of a debate, but I'm I had a grand plan yesterday morning, get up early, make pancakes, have everything all set to go for the guys. And then I woke up at 7 o'clock.
7:47 for me.
yeah. Ken's like at my house, and he had brought donuts and bagels. I was like, that's fine. We're just doing that then. You know what I mean? Donuts and bagels and tea. Anyway, so the whole thing was just it was great to see those guys, which is a total debacle. And I don't know. Let's start with Katie. What do you think about our defense? What are your thoughts on it right now?
I mean, it was just a disaster. Honestly, the basics of soccer is you don't stab at the ball. I can't tell you how many times we were just stabbing and people were not recovering after they were stabbing. So to me, that's just the basics of football, honestly.
Yeah, it's funny. I could not find anything in that performance at all that was redeeming. Not even Roberto making 9 saves. You didn't know he made half of them. They just bounced off of him, And he was poor on the first goal. I'm sorry, but he was. He didn't charge out like that. If he just held his near post, he makes that save if he holds his near post. Now, the fact that the goal scorer, I can't remember who scored the goal, had gotten in the way he did, that's again, that's a hole in our defense, and I think probably Masuaku should have picked him up. But I mean, 9 saves is embarrassing because that
honestly,
means
that's my point. Everyone wants to sit there and say, Roberto let in the first goal. Yeah, but he should have never been put in that situation to begin with. He's the one that kept us in the game.
Absolutely, he did. And I'll tell you, he had already made one fantastic save prior to that. And he made several more afterwards. Some of them he realized he made, some of them he didn't know. I don't think he knows he even made the big one. But you know what? That's the right place at the right time, and I don't really fault him for that. Yeah, it's weird in that I felt as though he was not well positioned for the first goal, and yet probably still our best player. You know?
Sad.
What else? I mean, there every single thing about that game we could probably pick out and criticize. But either one of you guys who wants to go first, what else? What other factors stood out for you the most?
One thing I will say is, for me personally, at least, this game kind of confirmed for me that Aaron Cresswell should be our starting left back. I don't think Masuaku was up to it. He wasn't. He doesn't offer too much anymore. And I saw some stuff slating Lanzini, and it's true. Lanzini is just too damn inconsistent, and he doesn't. I don't know if his new contract extension was warranted.
Well, you know, contract extensions are funny, right? I mean, this happens in a lot of sports. It happens a lot in American sports. Guy gets the big contract, gets comfortable, and then just goes out and, you know, sort of mails it in, basically. I know Lanzini had a devastating injury. I mean, maybe that has affected his game. I don't know. But, yeah, he's not been great. The other one I want to talk about is Felipe Anderson, because I felt as though I didn't think he was good on Saturday, but I felt that he was one of the few players who was actually trying to press forward during the first half. And then we took him off at halftime for Yarmolenko, who really wasn't much better. We shifted our midfield and got Anderson off. And then on Twitter, all I read was Anderson was garbage and he's been garbage all season. I don't know. I didn't think he was great, but I thought he showed some initiative that nobody else showed. I don't know. What was your take on Felipe on Saturday?
Yeah, I don't think he's been garbage at all, honestly. I definitely think our midfield struggled, but he was the one pushing, and Declan Rice.
Yeah. Declan defensively didn't look his best to me.
No, he was at least trying to push it forward.
I agree. So there was no initiative at all in that first half, and I couldn't decide if it was us playing defensively at Pellegrini's instruction, if that was a tactic, or if we just didn't care. I
think the latter is more probable.
Yeah, I think the latter is more probable too.
For me, I think Pellegrini has issues motivating the players. I really do. I think the formation it's not working, and with Anderson as well. He wasn't great, but the issue, I think the reason a lot of people slate him on Twitter is for the reason that he gets the ball dispossessed so often, but it's kind of hard to make moves when you only have one player in front of you and three defenders coming at you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I absolutely feel the same way. I thought, again, I didn't think he didn't look very skillful on Saturday.
No.
But to me, again, he was one of the few who was trying to move forward, and he had no help at all. You know, nobody else was showing any initiative whatsoever, and I think that's what bothered me the most. And I feel as though I feel as though a lot of fans are critical of him because he costs a lot of money, because he's Brazilian, because he's supposed to be a kind of a what am I trying to say? Like one of the better players in the team, in other words.
Yeah.
He gets probably more love than he deserves. He gets probably more hate than he deserves. And I thought on Saturday he got more than he deserved.
Yeah. Another issue I end up I find too is that Allaire is too isolated.
Absolutely.
We need to go to a 2 up front formation, whether you take out the wingers or something, but and whether it be, I've saw some Ayeti, I've seen Yarmo up front, I've seen buying another striker in January, anything.
Yeah, I thought I agree. I think we've got to be done with this 4-2-3-1. Allaire his skill is obvious. He had zero service on Saturday at all. I can't really blame him for not being at the match because he had no opportunities whatsoever. The only time we looked mildly threatening to me was when we put Ayeti on. We went with 2 up front, and that was toward the 80th minute or so. I mean,
Yeah.
we were looking.
At that point, we were more complacent than anything. We had accepted defeat.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we had no question. Which I hate to see that too.
Yeah.
But at least with Ayeti and Alera on at the same time, we had some threat going forward. I mean, Ayeti doesn't really look like a very good striker, but you know what?
He needs time though. He's only getting the garbage minutes.
Exactly. He's only getting the garbage minutes. He was in that debacle at Oxford, which I still come back to that as a real turning point in our season so far.
Yeah.
And you know, if you come on in a match like the one we had on Saturday, where we've been absolutely awful and everybody's complacent and shrugging around, and you know, what would you expect from him? I mean, at least he produced something. He had a shot. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, he looked alive. I hate to say it. I really pin a lot of the blame for this on Pellegrini. I just don't see any other way. He doesn't. We never come out in the first 15 minutes and look anything like organized.
No.
First 15 minutes of any given match is a disaster. We have to survive, you know.
Right.
And as bad as it sounds for me, I'm almost personally starting to question if Pellegrini is the man for us. Like it's starting to creep in. Yeah,
I agree. At first, I thought he was a great fit for us, but now I'm kind of like, what's going on? There's something.
Yeah. What I'm afraid it is, honestly, is with his age, him being one of the biggest money earners in the Prem. I'm afraid that he's fine with mid-table. I'm afraid that he's fine with not pushing for European positions. He doesn't want to really worry about these big competitions. He's just looking to ride out his sunset years in employment, making a massive paycheck and settling for 9th place.
I mean, he's 68 years old, 67, 68, somewhere in that range. Listen, this is a demanding job, you know.
Yes.
And I feel the same way you do, Chris. I think he figures, he's at West Ham. Nobody expects anything of him. It's not a club that ever wins anything, so nobody expects to win. And to me, it comes across in two ways. One, some of his substitutions are just bizarre. Again, I thought taking Anderson off made very little sense to me on Saturday, but maybe the whole one feels that way. But and then his starting 11s can be. I mean, why was Fornals starting on Saturday? Why didn't Yarmolenko start? I don't understand. What has Fornals done to earn his way into the side? I don't get that.
What I saw on Twitter for that actually was Yarmo just had played 2 other matches within the week for.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I know. But
he's a professional. He should be able to do it.
Absolutely.
Declan only played one. Now that I think about it, Declan didn't play against Bulgaria. But I know he'd played with Ukraine. I understand that. But then all over the world, that's the case for players.
No, I completely agree.
There are tons of guys on Saturday who played twice in the qualifiers, and they were able to come out and play again. I don't know why West Ham players always have to have an extra week off or an extra.
And maybe it was just a way trying to get Fornals maybe more used to the Prem again, but he just did not look up to it.
No,
I'm questioning him now as well.
He never looked up to it. I hate to say it. Fornals has never looked up to it, and I was excited about him when we signed him. I thought he'd be one of our better players. I thought Wilshere wasn't that bad when he came on.
That was a questionable one, though, for sure. Why did we need to substitute a midfielder when we were struggling going forward?
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I thought it was. I mean, I don't think he's a difference maker to me, although really, who is? Our squad is pretty small, but I feel as though Pellegrini's insistence on the 4-2-3-1, and the other thing is his lack of ability to motivate the players. It's got to be his job. It's got to be manager's job.
I completely agree. I think that they went into the game thinking, "Oh, this is Everton. We're going to have an easy win." I think it was
They've lost 5 in a row.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he sits there saying in the after interview, like, "Well, we have 2 games at home. I mean, we're playing Sheffield United, and I forget who else, but." They're at the bottom of the league. So, that to me means nothing.
No.
Yeah, Everton, well, let me tell you this. You guys probably realize this. I've followed West Ham long enough, and I know Neil's on here from Australia, and there's a couple of other guys on here who followed the club for a long, long time. If you're in the relegation zone, if you've only scored 6 goals all season, if your manager's about to be sacked, all this was the case for Everton coming into Saturday. Just play West Ham. It solves everything. It solves everything, we're never.
You need a win in general. Just play West Ham.
Right, exactly. We're never going to be a top 6 team because we never win the games we're supposed to win. You know, we really don't have to beat Manchester United, Chelsea, Tottenham. I love when we do, but we don't really have to.
Right.
We have to beat Bournemouth and Brighton and
Everton.
And Everton. Those are the ones you got to win if you want to be in Europe. You got to win the games you're supposed to win.
Absolutely.
You don't really have to win the rest, you know. But we end up winning 1 out of 5 against, you know, or 6 against the big clubs, and then we can't beat the clubs around us in the table or below us in the table. I think that's the most frustrating part about it. We have the skill. It's just when it comes down to those, you know, ticky-tack games, we can't finish. And it's so frustrating. I agree. We do. And I think we do have the skill. And I do think people are starting to look up and wake up and realize, hey, listen, for all their faults, Gold and Sullivan have spent some money on this team.
Yeah.
Spent £100 million last season. They went out and got Allaire this season when it looked as though we were going to have another embarrassment at missing a striker. He's our best. He's our first proper striker since Dean Ashton, probably. That's a long time. So, you know, I mean, take away all the heartbreak over the stadium and everything else, which is a move I think we had to make, but that's a different topic altogether.
Yeah.
Right.
You put some money into the team, all right? They don't have oil billions of dollars. They're not Russian oligarchs. They've put some money into the team. Put it that way. And the results are not there. You know, we're in the new stadium where the results are not there. We're solidified in the Premier League again after we went down 7 years ago, whatever that was. It's just the same. It just doesn't get any better, you know. And you got to put part of that on the manager. I mean, Katie, you played soccer. You played in high school. You played in college. I mean, how important was your coach to you? How important was what did your coach do to motivate you to play well? Let me ask you that.
Well, you know, it depends on the player. Every player has a different thing that, you know, gets them motivated. So for me, it's always that positive encouragement when, you know, I do something wrong, it's picking me back up. Whereas for other players, it's, you know, getting in their face and telling them what they need to do. You know, it just depends on the player. So he's got to figure that out. That's his responsibility as well as his assistant coaches.
And he's not new, right? I mean,
no.
He's won a Premier League title.
Right. He's won a Premier League title. He's been here. He's getting into halfway through his second season. There's no more adjustment period. You know what I mean? There's no more like, well, you know, give him time. No, he's had time. He's had time.
No. He's had time and hundreds of millions of pounds. So
yes, and he's had budget. That's the other thing.
That's one thing I was going to say. With the managers, for the first time in a few seasons, none of this can be placed on the owners. And I'm liking that on Twitter, no one is slating the owners. And if it's anyone, it's the players and the manager. Everyone is realizing that the owners have done their job. It's now on the players and the manager.
I completely agree.
I agree. And I mean, the players always have to take responsibility for themselves, right? But has got to be part of a manager's job to motivate the players, to get the players ready to play, not just motivation. I felt as though what I watched in the first half was a bunch of guys who were not ready to play. Tactically, they weren't ready. Emotionally, they weren't ready. In no way were they ready to play, and it showed. And a team that we should have probably throttled, even away from home, just took it to us. I mean,
and we were lucky to only lose 2-0.
Oh, very lucky, because
I thought it was going to be 5-6-0. I legitimately did.
After the first goal went in, the only question to me was how many more. You know, it was never, are we going to come back and equalize, or are we going to come back? It was just how many more. That was it. So I'm with you. I listen. I'm not a big fan of Golden Sullivan, particularly Sullivan. Not a big fan of either one of them. But I don't lay the blame at them right now. I don't. I have seen a lot of people talking about the players getting complacent. In fact, maybe we should just do this. Let me see here. Hammers Polls. Our friends from Hammers Polls. We love Hammers Polls. All right. Then we take a little StreamYard break here. You guys talk amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves while I remember how to do this. Here we go. Hammers
training course.
Yeah, well, I do. You think by now I would have done it enough, but it's never enough. So there we go. Hammers Polls. Well, it's kind of hard to see, but if your screen is bigger than mine, maybe you can read it. So the question here at the top, what we're just talking about, really. Should Anderson be dropped for Sheffield United, as opposed to Wednesday, where we're still in the championship, I think, to ensure that complacency doesn't set in if it hasn't already? This is really an interesting angle to me. A really interesting angle. It's just that he doesn't care. He's complacent. You know what? I'm gonna let you go before I jaundice your answer. Tell me what you guys think. What do you think about this one?
Katie, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has. I think he's become complacent. Absolutely.
Do you replace him? Gio from Hammer's chat is talking about getting Nathan Holland in there and just basically sending a message to Anderson like you're not. It's not enough. You're not good enough. We're going to try one of the kids and we're going to take you out. I mean, do you play him on Saturday or not?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Is there somebody else you would have out there, or just maybe have 3 across the midfield instead of 4 and 2 up front?
Yeah, absolutely. I think doing 3 in the back would be beneficial, but also, not starting him and just, giving him that little jolt, give him a little bit more incentive and put him in, maybe halfway through the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see that. What do you think, Chris?
It's a tough one for me as well. Because the fact of the matter is, though, too, is that who do we like? If you want to keep that same formation, as much as we hate it, it seems like Pellegrini is going to live and die by it. Right. Who do you replace him with? Because Fornals isn't for the left. Yarmolenko's a right winger.
Right.
We don't have anyone other than him or Nathan Holland. Because Lanzini isn't good enough on the wing.
No, he's not.
So the only logical person you could put in is Nathan Holland, and what that could legitimately do is like, hey, like you guys were saying, like, hey, this kid's going to get a chance because you haven't been up to par lately,
right.
And he's playing for a spot in the team. So Holland could have the game of his life. So,
it's funny. We had a discussion. Wayne and Tim and I had a discussion on Wednesday about if Masuaku and Cresswell, if neither one of them was available, which looked like a possibility for Everton, who would you put in that position? Would you put in Zabaleta? Would you put in Ben Johnson? And I was advocating for Ben Johnson because I think Zabaleta's lost the pace of the Premier League. However, I'm going to contradict myself a little bit because everybody at West Ham always wants to play the kids. Play the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are almost never good enough. I hate to say it, but they're almost never good enough. Now Ben Johnson did have a great game against Manchester City last season, the only one he played in, a Premier League game that he played in that I can remember. I do worry about complacency with Anderson.
I worry about complacency with the whole team.
Well, that's the other issue for me. You know what I mean? And the question is, if you're going to send a message, do you send him the message? Do you send somebody else a message? Do you send a bunch of them the message? Do you put in Snodgrass and say,
yes?
Well, I forgot about Snodgrass actually.
Yeah, do you have a midfield of like Yarmolenko, Snodgrass, and I don't know, Fornals, and just tell the whole midfield like, what?
I wouldn't even put in Fornals right now.
Well, I wouldn't put in Fornals either because I think he's been garbage. or you know what? How about Wilshere? Gabe says,
yeah.
Maybe you put Wilshere in the middle. You put Yarmolenko on the right. The problem is everybody plays on the right. Snodgrass plays on the right. Everybody plays on the right. But I mean, maybe you put 3 across the middle and you don't bring in Lanzini or Anderson, and you just take it. Wally says Wilshere for Lanzini and Holland for Anderson. You know what?
I would definitely be down for that. If you stay with the same formation.
Yeah. Wally's saying the opposite. He's saying Anderson's our best player, stays in. You know what? I mean, I don't know. I feel as though I don't think Holland is ready for it. I think that's the big problem. In theory, I would love to pull Anderson and send a message. In practice, I don't know who's going to replace him or how we're going to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
That's probably the biggest issue I have. I do like Snodgrass as a hardworking player. I think the physical nature of Sheffield United would be good for Snodgrass. But again, we're heavy on the right. We don't have anybody else. We don't have anybody to come in on the left other than Holland.
I guess one person we're not even thinking about too is honestly, Masuaku. He's not a natural left back. He's a left winger.
That's.
But, I mean, that honestly,
him in the back. There's no way.
What's that?
We can't keep him at defense. There's no
No,
way.
no, I'm talking about left wing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's not a left winger by trade. He's not a natural left back. We've converted him into it.
He can't defend to save his life, and neither can Fredericks, quite frankly.
Right.
And I realize that the fullbacks are there. You know, the center backs are your hardcore defenders, but you got to have your back four needs to be solid. And I thought against Everton again, we got shredded coming down the wing, which we always
Swiss cheese.
Oh, it was terrible.
And they put the ball through the channel. I mean, we don't have a solid back four that can actually clog holes in the channel. They're putting the ball through the channel and getting in between our defenders over and over again. It actually leads us to another question. This comes, it's a Hammers Polls retweeted this one from somebody named Jonesy, but that's fine. So let's stick with it. Sign a new left back in January. Left backs are not super expensive. They're out there. And do we make a Masuaku our box-to-box midfielder? Is he eventually our solution in the midfield? We say to Lanzini, you know what? You're bounced. Arthur's going in. What do you guys think?
I don't think he's strong enough, honestly.
I don't know if he's that. He's technically gifted enough, but I don't know if he's strong enough. And again, we're converting another winger into a midfielder. We would have converted him from a winger to a left back to a midfielder. I mean,
I wouldn't put him as a box to box midfielder. I think he's a winger, right? I mean, I think the question is almost not properly sort of, phrased. I think he's a winger. So, if you're going to bring in a left back, bring it in to push him up out on the wing. Now that kind of makes a lot of sense to me.
Right.
I think with him on the left, and when Antonio comes back, hopefully healthy on the right, then you've got a potent midfield. Then
slot Anderson maybe in the middle,
right? Or you could even, or if we see any improvement from Wilshere, get him in there because I mean, again, the only reason I think Anderson plays on Saturday is because I don't think there's a good replacement for him.
Yeah, at least not right away.
No, not right away. I love the idea of the manager saying, you know what, it's not good enough. That performance, we're going to make like 8 changes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what he said.
Like, time to do it.
At halftime, or not at halftime, but after the game, Pellegrini said that if it were up to him at halftime, he would have changed all 11 players. That's worrying when the manager said he would have taken off every single player.
And I'll tell you what, while I don't disagree with him, obviously, what I hate about that, I really hate when any sort of leader doesn't take blame
for himself,
for his group's performance, whether it's a manager, a military leader, somebody you work for at work. It doesn't matter who it is. A leader should always come out and say, it was my fault. And then if you have things to deal with internally, you deal with them internally.
Right.
I mean, Jose Mourinho was always slated at Man United for calling out individual players and never accepting blame himself. And he's still considered one of the best managers, yet he doesn't have a job.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, Dwight Eisenhower wrote 2 letters about D-Day, right? He wrote one if it failed.
Yep.
He wrote
actually just did a whole paper on him.
Right. Well, then you know what I'm talking. He wrote one that said, you know what, it was my fault that it failed. It was my fault. And he wrote another one, obviously the one he was able to use, that in case of success, he said, this was all about the troops. It wasn't about me. It was all about the troops. And I think that's what a leader does. And I read Pellegrini's quote and I laughed. And then I thought, yeah, but that's your job, man. Like, you're supposed to have them prepared, not the rest of us. Like, I feel as though he's walking up to us in the pub and buying us around and saying, hey, let me tell you, lads, if I could have replaced them all at halftime, I would have. Well, it was your job to get them ready. So,
regardless, he's the head coach. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, he can replace.
What I love though about that,
that's what I would have done.
Right.
Yeah. But what the fact though too is that he says that and he didn't make any changes immediately at halftime.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you really feel that strongly, make changes. You have 3 changes for a reason.
Right. That's the other thing that kills me is that, I'm with you. I mean, I don't think he took off Anderson until I think it was like around the 50th minute or something like that. Yeah. So we put him on at halftime. Then the other changes came a little late, really. You know,
It was, I believe, one was in the 70th, one was in the 80th. Rough.
yeah, it's just too late. I mean, so yeah, Manuel. I mean, I would replace them all too, but you actually get to do that. So maybe in the future you should actually do that. Let me see. Whoops. Oh, I've just messed up my my Twitter screen. All right. You know what? I think that's good enough for Hammer's polls for now, anyway. Because I don't want to have to try to get it back.
I think all you had to do was press the back button.
I know, but I, you know what? You know what the problem is? It's because I'm on my once again. This is why I always ask people to subscribe to the channel, right? Because once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we can start monetizing things a little bit and upgrading our equipment. You know, I mean, I didn't upgrade. Believe me, I didn't upgrade on equipment. You know, in general, but I'm still using my brother-in-law's MacBook, and I hate it because I can't scroll.
Yeah, I'm using my MacBook too. So
well, I wouldn't hate it if I used one all the time every day, but I don't. And so I get up.
Yeah, it is a little tough to learn at first.
Right, I come for 2 hours. Well, I used to use it all the time. I come in for 2 hours a week, and it's different. And anyway, it's just a big mess. But I think that largely sort of covers Hammer's polls. Yes, Wayne's making fun of me for teaching history lessons. Wayne, you could stand to learn, my young friend. I think Wayne about a sophomore in high. Wayne, why am I calling him Wayne? Gabe. I'm getting my Texans mixed up. Gabe is, I think, about a sophomore in high school, and so you could learn some history, some real history.
I have a minor in history, so
I minored in history many years ago when I went to college. But Gabe, don't believe what they tell you in those textbooks in Texas, man. There's some messed up stuff in there. Go find out the truth. All right, you know, go do some research on your own. Yes, he's really roasting me tonight, this guy. He's killing me. Anyway, you know what? We're going to do rapid fire questions for Katie in a minute, but let's talk about Sheffield United on Saturday. Now, I don't know if you guys were into West Ham at the time of all the Carlos Tevez affair. You're probably aware of what happened. But I'll give you a brief history. We brought in two players in 2006.
Oh, yeah. I know what it is.
Right. Tevez and Javier Mascherano.
Yeah.
He's killing me. Gabe's killing me. Tevez and Javier Mascherano. By the way, Javier Mascherano, who just goes on to become one of the world's best players. I think he played for us one time. He was so bad at West Ham. But anyway, that's another story altogether. Long story short, we almost go down that season. We stay up because Tevez gets on a hot streak at the end of the season. He scores goals in something like 6 or 7 consecutive games. He scores a goal to beat Manchester United last game of the season. We stay up. Sheffield United go down. Yeah. And it turns out that Tevez was not ineligible to play, but improperly registered because he had something which is now illegal, by the way. There was third-party ownership of him. His manager owned part of his contract or something along those lines. It was against Premier League rules. And we knew it was against Premier League rules, by the way. We knew it. So it was Scott Duxbury, who was the CEO of West Ham at the time, made Golden Sullivan look competent. But long story short, Sheffield United sues us for £25 million at a time when we were cratering financially because the Icelandic economy had tanked. And it goes all the way to the absolutely ridiculous Court of Sports Arbitration or something like that, which is like in The Hague or something. I mean, who comes up with these things? And then we end up paying Sheffield United £25 million, which back then was a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if we ever, hey there, who is that?
Oh, this is Grayson.
Hi, Grayson. How you doing?
Say hi, bud.
Oh, what a sweet puppy. We need more dogs. We need more dogs on the show. So anyway,
I wish I could.
Sheffield United went down. They have been down ever since. They just came back up this season, 12 years later. So this is a big, big match on Saturday at home. Sheffield United, a club that tried to destroy us. Set out to destroy West Ham United, to bankrupt us. Okay, that's what they wanted to do at a time when they knew we didn't have any money, and we ended up paying £25 million, and I think it was like $5 million a year for several years or something along those lines. Anyway. So it's going to be nasty. There's going to be Carlos Tevez masks. I would love it if he would walk out onto the pitch. If we're just, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Carlos Tevez, But I don't think it's going to happen because I think he's still playing somewhere. Anyway.
And those fans are super fired up about us. They hate us. The only reason I know is because there's a guy that lives here by me, and he's actually from Sheffield, and he told me all about this. And he's like, "We hate West Ham fans. You're ridiculous." And that's how I found out about that whole backstory.
And you know, listen, I've got to tell you, I kind of don't blame him in a way. All right.
Oh, no. I mean, we would totally hate them.
If I were a Sheffield United fan, I would hate West Ham too, and I don't think they're unjustified. And in fact, good Lord, what's the guy's name in Chicago? Tim will tell me if he's still in the chat. Casey in Chicago worked for Sheffield United. He was an intern there.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he's a West Ham guy, but he worked for Sheffield United, so I'm sure he's got a lot of good stories. And we should actually
went well behind enemy lines.
Yeah, we should get him on sometime this week to talk about it. I don't blame him for hitting us, but this is going to be a nasty match. They're physical. They're good, by the way. They're not bad at all.
I just looked it up. They actually have a better last 5 matches than us. They're on better form than we are.
Yeah. I believe it.
We are 1-1-3 in our last 5. They are 1-3 or 1. Sorry, hold on. Oh, we're actually even. Excuse me.
Even so, they almost have to be in better form than we are because our form on Saturday was abysmal. So, what do you guys think is going to happen? I have no idea. I don't know much about their squad. Again, I don't know who's. But if you had to just spitball and say, and by the way, Wally, yes, we did. We paid £25 million to Sheffield United, a gigantic amount of money at the time that almost bankrupted us as a club. So, I mean, any predictions? Any thoughts? Anything?
I think it'll be 2-1 West Ham.
I would love to see us get something. I mean, anything. Just score in this match. I don't know. What do you think, Chris? What you got any feelings about how it's going to go?
I'm leaning either. I'm split between a 1-1 draw or a 2-1 win. I just looked it up now. Sheffield's top goal scorer. They have 3 at the tied for the top with 1.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Everton had scored 6.
Again, it's one of those enter West Ham things.
Yeah, right. No, that's exactly what it is. That's what worries me.
Yeah.
Just like Everton, they're down, they're out. Everybody's counting them out. What's wrong with Everton? They're going to sack the manager. Oh, what happens? They get West Ham. They walk. It's 2-0. It could have been 5. They walk.
They are sitting at 15th in the table. With only 7 goals scored this entire season.
Well, which again, perfect because Everton had scored 6. And then they managed to get a third of those more. This is interesting. Wally says they've got Arsenal tomorrow night. Now, I actually remember that now that he mentions it. I'm sorry, not Wally. Neil says we've got Arsenal tomorrow night. We should definitely keep an eye on that, see how they look.
Yeah.
I think Wally is right. I think he mentioned earlier this could be a pivotal match for Pellegrini and our club. I do too. I don't think we're all that close to sacking Pellegrini because I don't think there's any replacement lined up. Lord knows we've screwed that up in the past with the Avram Grant appointment, and we've even Gianfranco Zola, who brought a lot of passion, but he wasn't a very good manager. We've made bad appointments in the past, and we've kind of sacked competent managers and brought in incompetent ones. So I think Pellegrini is safe for the time being, but a third loss on the trot, especially at home, especially Sheffield United, I think there'd be a lot of questions asked, and it could really, really define our season. And I would love for David Sullivan, because I feel as though he'd be the one to do it, or maybe Karen Brady, to have a quiet word with Pellegrini and say, look, you need this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You need this. You know what I mean? Like this, you do not have a guaranteed spot here. We will buy you out. We will get rid of you. You need this. Now, I don't think they're going to do it, but I wish they would.
Looking at the table, these 3 matches are such a turning point. Like Crystal Palace, Everton, and this one.
Yeah.
The table is so close right now, where right now, if we win, we can go as high as 5th or 6th, back in the European places. If we lose this game and everything falls, we could fall as low as 16th, right on the edge of relegation.
I watched that game on Saturday, and I said to myself, that was relegation form. That was a relegation.
Oh, that's, yeah.
And
I think we'll turn it around. Honestly, I think having an aggressive game at home, get the fire under some feet. I think we'll be fine. Honestly, I mean,
Wally makes a good point here. He talks about Noble, who was a liability on Saturday. As much as we've loved him all season, I thought he was.
Yeah, he had a pretty poor match.
Absolutely dreadful. However, this is one of those games where maybe it's not about his skill or his pace. Maybe it's about his passion, because we know that he can bring that, and he remembers. He was there when all this stuff happened. He knows the history.
Yeah, that is true.
And he's the only one who does. I don't think anybody else involved with the club now at all does. I mean, not the owners, not anybody. So he's the one who could fire these guys up, hopefully. And that's the hope that I have, is that they will, come out with some anger. They'll come out with some desperation. Because as you said, Chris, we're in a relegation battle if we lose on Saturday.
And I also just looked at the upcoming schedule. The next 3 matches, we are home to Sheffield, home to Newcastle, away to Burnley, and then the following 2 matches are home to Tottenham and away to Chelsea.
Right. And Arsenal come up. There's an Arsenal match in the next 7 or 8 as well. So
we're away to Wolves and then home to Arsenal. So that is such a rough 4-game stretch.
Away to Wolves, which we lost 3-0 last season, if you'll remember. And then Arsenal, always a tough, obviously, a more or less top 6 club. So we really need,
these next 3 matches are crucial going forward.
I mean, 7
at their last 2.
7 points at a minimum, 2 wins and a draw at an absolute minimum to me. I don't think anything less will do. I think if we don't, I think we're in a relegation battle. I really do. Which is insane, because here we were sitting.
Right. We were sitting at
£200 million.
Right, and we've spent all this money. Yeah.
I guess Fulham did it though and got relegated the same season. So
well,
it's not the most shocking thing in the world anymore.
Well, we've got to be better than Fulham. I mean, sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it's a defining moment, and I think we're going to find out a lot. And I'm telling you, honestly, if we lose to Sheffield United, if we lose to Sheffield United, and the performance is as bad as it was on Saturday, I am going to start, and not that anybody listens to me, but I'm going to start talking on here about getting rid of Pellegrini. I really am.
It's definitely creeped in my head so far. So if it continues and 3 losses on the trot, it's such a critical point.
It's going to be time to look at alternatives. And Gabe asked the question earlier: who gets the job? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if we're there yet. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I swear, I think I remember an article like at the beginning of the season, saying that if we were to get rid of him, Mourinho might be interested. But do we really want to go down that route?
You know what? I don't think we want to go there.
Nope.
It's a top manager, but he never had sustained success.
He won't get the players he wants. He won't get unlimited spending. He's only won at clubs where he's been able to spend a gigantic amount of money.
Yeah.
And then he leaves them in a wreck after 2
Yeah, look at Man United.
He destroyed the club. Yeah, he just
biggest club in the world is bottom half of the table.
Look at Chelsea. Look at Inter. He absolutely wrecks the club season 4. And if he does that to us, we'll go down. I mean, we won't just finish like 6th. We, like Manchester United are struggling. They're so panicked because they're like 8th or something right now. I can't remember. I think they're still behind us. But the point is, they're not going to be relegated. All right, they're not. But we would, because we're not that kind of club.
Right.
So yeah, we would. All right, let's get some.
It is a tough question, because top managers, that's the only one you can think of, and you need a top manager. It's not going to be we just need to survive this season. We need to press.
Absolutely. And I think we're all I don't think I can handle another relegation battle. I mean, it's just outrageous. Not in this stadium, not with this squad, not with the money we've spent. It's ridiculous to think that we'd have to struggle through this again. If
that happens, I could. If we're facing a relegation battle, I could see another pitch invasion kind of thing.
Well, I was thinking the same thing. Which again, I've always said
that's scary.
I don't really condone that, but let me just tell you that little act of civil disobedience, the course of the club. I really think it did.
Yeah,
I think it had. We had Paul Colburn on here. I wasn't able to do the interview myself, but Tim interviewed Paul Colburn maybe maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And I really believe what he did. Again, there has to be a better way to do it, but he sent the message.
That entire stadium that day sent a pretty clear,
right? I mean,
a crystal clear message. We're done. We're done with you.
Yeah, here we go. Now, Gabe's got the right idea. This is what we want right here. My man, Scotty Parker, is going to make his triumphant return to West Ham as manager. Maybe not. But I do still love him. I do. Everybody else, a lot of people don't love him, but all right. Let's do some rapid fire questions. We've got a few minutes left. So Katie, these are for you.
Okay.
I will try not to interrupt you. It's going to be hard to do. I'll do my best. All right. So question number 1.
Lee?
Oh, no. Did I cut out? Am I back?
You just froze completely.
Oh, no. Well, it was probably the best thing that could have happened. Tim, I already showed the shop, my friend. I did it at the beginning. He says, don't forget the shop. We already talked about the shop. AHTV.threadless.com, but we already did it. But I'm
happy I won't have to pay $50 for shipping now.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's fantastic stuff. Anyway, all right. Question number 1 for Katie: meat pie or apple pie?
Apple pie.
Good American answer.
I know.
No hesitation either. I like that.
Shouldn't be. That's the kind of question or you just know, right?
Yeah.
You have to think about it. Who is your favorite current West Ham player?
All right, Declan Rice.
All right, good. Nothing wrong with that. This is the question. You have to pick one guy, all right? Just one. Who frustrates you most in the current West Ham squad?
Cresswell.
Okay, interesting. Who wasn't there on Saturday because he was injured, but yes, he is hot and cold to say the least. That's true. That's very true. All right. Which would you rather have? FA Cup or top? We've changed this. FA Cup or top 4 finish? So basically, FA Cup or Champions League?
FA Cup.
Yes, thank you. I'm so glad. It's the right answer. And we did have somebody see Champions League a couple of weeks ago. And listen, on a practical level, it's probably a better answer. But come on, we need a trophy. You know what I mean? We need Mark Noble holding it. So when we dedicate the Mark Noble stand in 20 years, we can have pictures of him holding up the FA Cup in front of the Queen or whoever goes to that.
I don't even think it'd be 20 years if you wanted to.
No, it's probably more like 3 years.
It would be the second he retired.
Right, because he's the last of his breed. We're never going to have another one like him.
No.
What about West Ham do you love?
The fans.
Absolutely.
I think every interview I've been a part of, I think everyone said the same thing.
Everyone has said that. I told you I saw today a guy who's been in England for 30 years, and I was talking about West Ham, and he's QPR, which is similar, And he said, "How did you end up supporting West Ham?" And I said, "It's the fans. They have the best fans, the best sense of humor, most fun to hang around. It's easy for me."
I mean, here in Philly and in London, everyone has been phenomenal.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Plus, we never win anything. So. I relate to that better than I relate to success.
Yeah.
On a personal level. What about West Ham do you hate?
Honestly, the inconsistency. This season has just been so inconsistent, and I feel like we truly have talent.
I felt that way this season more than any other, and I guess to some extent last season. There were a lot of injuries last season, but yes, this season, there's no way we should be struggling like this.
No.
No way. This next question, I never like it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. It's part of the thing. What sound makes you happy?
Yeah.
That's straight out of James Lipton's Inside the Actors Studio thing. What sound makes you happy? I guess it could be. Do what?
Rain.
Rain.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Really good one.
It's a really nice one. You should just live in England. You should just go to England.
Yeah, my brother thinks I'd be perfect there, but I'm like, no, I love Philly.
Right. Well, I guess somebody has to. No, I'm kidding. I've had a lot of fun time. I told you, we have friends down there. We've had a lot of fun times in Philly. What is your favorite curse word? And yes, you can say it. It's fine.
Fuck.
Again, with my kids watching with me on Saturday, I was like, we convinced my older son that the F word is foul. When we talk about dropping f-bombs, we're talking about using the word foul. So yeah. Yeah. So he thinks that now. I don't know how much longer that could possibly last.
I think it's part of the Philadelphia, language. It's just natural.
Yeah, Boston's a pretty cuss-heavy city too.
And Boston, yeah.
Yeah, where I come from in Dallas, you get less of it because people are a little more sort of religious. And
I remember there was a study done, like the states most likely to cuss and everything like that, and Ohio is actually named number 1. So I'm proud to be from the.
Ohio? That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
I would absolutely.
We have such bad drivers, of course.
Oh well, that makes sense.
You do. My best friend lives there, and it's terrible.
And it seems to always follow me wherever I go.
Well, then I'm sure you'd be comfortable here. All over New England, you'd be very comfortable. You'd feel right at home. All right, Katie? What team do you love to beat?
Oh, Tottenham.
Yes, that's the great answer. Everybody the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You have to. Especially, do you know a lot of American Spurs fans?
I do.
Are they just the worst?
My father, yes.
Oh, your father?
Oh, really?
How is your dad a Spurs supporter? Is he from North London or wherever it is?
No, he just actually went there and, kind of same situation, fell in love with Tottenham, went to a couple games when he was over there. And so he's a huge Tottenham fan. And, my brother and I are West Ham fans, and we rib him every time we play each other.
I was going to say Thanksgiving must be interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Your brother too? That's awesome. So did your brother ever watch the games with you?
Yeah, he actually went with me to the game, and that's how he became a West Ham fan.
Oh, man.
And he's diehard now.
God bless you. I hope I can keep my kids as West Ham fans. So, I've been really impressed so far with the way they continue to support West Ham, despite the fact we always lose.
Yeah.
Kids usually like winners, but they're pretty loyal. So,
hey, Katie, actually, speaking of Thanksgiving, we played Tottenham right before Thanksgiving.
Oh.
So
that's going to be
that. I'm going to probably miss it.
We've got to win that one, though.
No, though it's Saturday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'll be away, but yeah.
Enjoy Thanksgiving. Enjoy Thanksgiving that weekend or that time.
Yeah, I mean I can't have it ruined. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I can't have West Ham ruined at Thanksgiving.
Hey, you got a few days beforehand just in case. So
yeah, well, that's true. That's true. We can drink enough on Thanksgiving to forget whatever happened on that Saturday.
Hopefully, we'll be the match that sinks Pochettino, though. So
that would be great. Yeah, they could have Pellegrini. They could just take him off our hands. Yeah,
we'll take Pochettino.
Yeah, well, I would actually, oddly enough, I would make that swap. I think.
Right? I would too. I think.
Weird as it is to say, I think I would. If you could take a time machine, Katie, back to experience anything having to do with West Ham, where would you go and when?
Any year within West Ham?
Any event at any time in the history of the club.
That's tough. I don't know.
I mean, a lot of people say like FA Cup finals, like FA Cup.
I mean, come on, that's like the natural thing to say.
Right.
You want to be there when we won the cup, but
or like last game at the Bolin or something like that.
Yeah, I would probably say that last game at Bolin.
Yeah,
although it's really bittersweet,
That's the thing is I'm sure it was very hard, to be there.
Everyone was so bitter.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it was such a bittersweet, like
it was.
Yeah.
Thank God we won that match because good Lord.
Right.
I mean,
I would fear the riots.
I was going to say, I think it would have kicked off big time if we'd lost, and that'd have been the last match. So, Winston,
you saw what the fans were doing to the Manchester United as it was coming in. Imagine we lost.
Reed, wherever you are, thank you, Winston Reed. Wherever you are, supposedly you still play for West Ham, but we haven't seen you in years.
Whatever hospital you may be in,
right? Where you and Andy Carroll are somewhere. I don't know where. Probably. Andy Carroll's probably doing some blow because I think that's why. I think he was really in rehab for all those injury stints that he had. But that's just my opinion. That's my theory. So don't sue me, Andy Carroll.
Conspiracy theories with
I think my conspiracy theories was always in rehab. Yeah, I mean, last game with Poland, or I was talking to Ken on Saturday about he was talking about 1976, the Cup Winners' Cup in '76. There was the home game against Eintracht Frankfurt was one of the great West Ham games ever played in the semifinal. West Ham had lost in Germany in the first leg, and we came back and won the second leg in 1976. And he said it was one of the greatest nights he ever had at the Berlin. Ken's obviously older than I am, but yeah, something like that would have been amazing too. You know,
Yeah, right.
Old Berlin '70s, just like that would appeal to me.
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
Any of those things would be great. I have also not yet been to the Olympic Stadium, so hopefully we get over there sometime this season, and hopefully for a decent result. Maybe I won't bring Tim and Ken with me. I'll just
Yeah, you're
Well,
not.
we're hoping watching it on TV.
right. That's true. That's true. Maybe I'll just go on my own. Anyway, yeah. So I think we're getting to where we need to wrap up. Katie, anything else you want to talk to us about or add before we go?
No, I mean, I just think overall we need to, put our nose to the grindstone in the next couple weeks and step it up. We're very much capable. We just need to get our head back in the game.
Yeah, I know. I think we're capable too. I think we're a good next spot. What do you think, Chris?
I can't argue with that.
Well, Katie from the city of brotherly love, the city of Philadelphia, taking a whole hour out of her night, not watching the Eagles play their arch rivals
right now. Actually,
it's not so good.
They're down by
okay.
17.
27-7.
Oh, really?
27.
Well,
I didn't even see that.
I haven't paid any. I'm up in the attic. I don't have any. I'm like not watching anything else. So sorry to hear that for your sake. That's really the makings of a very lousy sports weekend, which I have also had a very lousy sports weekend. So
Yeah.
I'm a Buckeye fan, so at least I got that one.
Right. Well, they always win. So
Yeah.
it's always that. But Katie from Philly and Chris also in Pennsylvania at the moment. Thanks, guys, for being on. We have a show tomorrow night. If Tim's still on, he'll remind me what it is. I can't remember. I think it's the fantasy football show, if I'm not mistaken. That's on tomorrow night. Oh, there's Ken right there. There he is. Hey, how's it going? It's my buddy Ken. Now this guy goes way back. We're gonna have him on the show one of these. He goes way back into West Ham lore, so it's good to see him. Everybody in the chat room who was here. I didn't mean to click on that one. Everybody in the chat room who was here. Neil, Gabe, obviously, Wally, Steve Mothersoul was on earlier. All those guys. Thanks for being on. Katie, thanks for being on. Chris, thanks for being on.
Absolutely. You guys, it's dope.
Kim says he's doing something tomorrow. He doesn't know what. So tune in at 9 o'clock tomorrow. And you know what? It'll be a mystery to all of us. Maybe I'll even be there. Who knows? Sometimes I show up.
It's a crap box.
Yeah, exactly. You never know what's going to happen. Anyway, thanks everybody for being on. And come on, you Irons!
Come on, you Irons.
Right.